Hello and welcome to the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast, where your hosts,
Hannah
and Brandee, try and help each other navigate the big messy gray area of giving a shit about the planet, and hopefully helping you along the way.
Each episode, we have honest chats about our sustainability fails, sometimes amongst ourselves and sometimes with guests, while also leaving you with a little sprinkle of hope and inspiration to keep on giving a shit.
So, go make yourself a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive into the episode.
Hello, Give a Shitters. This is Hannah.
And this is Brandee.
And you're listening to episode number 11 of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Hannah.
I know.
2 whole episodes without you.
I know. Very tragic. I'm sure that was very unfortunate for our listeners. But,
yes, speaking of the listeners, Hannah just admitted to me that she has not listened to those episodes, so we're going to have to do something about that. Make you listen.
Yeah, I mean, this won't be arriving to you on this day, but so this comment, it's going to make no point. I was going to be like, well, today is a World Earth Day.
Oh, yeah, but it won't be.
But it won't. Yeah, I was like, so you should listen to it for World Earth Day, but this is like, going to be coming out in like 2 weeks' time. So
well, I think I heard somewhere that it's like Earth Month now. Like, is it all of April is Earth Month? So I honestly forget the release date for this, so it might come out on the tail end or just after.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you're doing, whatever the day, drop everything and go and listen to Brandee's episodes without me. But no, I'm excited. I was just confessing to Brandee that I also still haven't listened to them, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to listen to 2 podcast episodes that I have like no idea what's going on. So it'll happen.
Well, good. I was going to say something, but the thought has escaped me. I'm having a brain struggle day. I can't like think properly.
Okay. Any reason why?
It's a rainy day, which you might be able to hear coming through. I'm trying slightly different audio or mic position setup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a bit echoey in here, but you might be able to hear the rain. And I just don't really feel like doing anything, but I have things to do. And then I had a Spanish class, and it was my least favorite activity of just make up a story about these pictures. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't care about these people in these pictures.
I love like activities like that. It's like so
not by myself. If I have someone else to go off of, but like it's like too many options. Like I need something to go off of, another person or like a little blurb, and then I can go off of that. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. Different creative methods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, anyway,
well,
go ahead.
Anyway, I was going to say we obviously need to get our rhythm back without a month without recording. So I was going to say the reason that I haven't been on is because I've been moving flat, which is always quite stressful, especially as I was living in my old flat for several years. So I had quite a lot of stuff, and hunting for flats in Madrid is a bit of a nightmare. But I'm now finally moved and settled in, and that is going to provide us for our inspiration for today's podcast episode.
Yeah, today we're spilling the tea on moving house, moving flat. Listener translations British English for just moving. I think in America we just say we're moving. Oh, where are you moving?
Yeah.
Oh, to an apartment, to a house. But yeah, moving flat, moving house seems to be a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'd never heard it before until I made friends with British people. It was always just moving. Like it's implied that you're moving. I don't know.
I mean, I think we would say that as well. Like, oh, I'm moving. I mean, we do like, I feel like British English, we do like to add like slightly more words. You know? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. We're spilling the tea on moving and life changes and speaking of changes, my cat was fast asleep and is now playing quite noisily, so apologies if you can hear him. He does not respond when I say be quiet.
I've just moved in with a cat, So I'm learning that cats really don't respond to anything. At the moment, she's quite like she's got really long claws at the moment because her nail clippers were lost for a while. And she's really enjoying just like clawing her way up the sofas, which are ours, not the landlords. Just, if there's any landlords listening who are freaking out about cat owners. So she just likes kind of like hanging off the side of the sofa. And I'm like, I'm trying really hard to be like, Tookie, no, get off. And
what's her name?
Yeah,
Tookie?
she does. Tookie. Yeah. Which apparently means explorer in some language, according to her mother. But yeah, I'm learning that cats don't listen to anyone.
No, they just do what they want.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so what's our featured tea for today? I was going to make tea because I know I'm usually the one that holds down the tea drinking for it, but I completely forgot.
Yeah, I am drinking not tea. I'm drinking a hot chocolate. It's like, well, as Brandee already said, it's a really like rainy, horrible day here. And I was like, today is a hot chocolate day.
Ooh,
so
I make hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I have some cocoa powder.
Yeah.
I don't have any plant milk, but.
Yeah. Well, I'm drinking hot chocolate, but I was going to talk about nettle tea, which is kind of random. I've never tried it. So this is like completely off-piste. But I've now moved into a flat with like a big terraza, like patio. And we were cleaning out the flower beds and then got stung by nettle. And I was like, oh, I've never really seen nettle around here. But I was thinking, I know that nettles, although most of the time they're just kind of treated as weeds, that they can be used for like, to drink. Nettle tea, I think they can be used as fertilizers. You can make like some sort of fertilizing mix with them. So yeah, that was kind of a bit random, but apparently, have you ever tried nettle tea, Brandee?
I haven't tried it, but I've heard of it because I feel like I've heard about some health benefit or benefits. I can't remember right now, but I'll look it up. Put a link in the show notes if I find something, but. Yeah. I feel like, there's a health benefit for every type of tea. So I feel like that's where I heard it before, but no, I've never tried it.
I mean, fundamentally, like most foods have a health benefit. I mean, like they're keeping us alive.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, pretty much everything you eat has some kind of benefit, I would say.
I'm just
going out on a limb.
Yeah, that is true. Health benefits of nettle tea. Oh, good for pain, sore muscles, and arthritis. But that's how it's historically been used. Interesting.
Yeah. And so it's found in Europe, North America, and Asia originally. So I decided to look at a project in the UK. So a nice easy one for me today. Basically. I think, and also I do think the rain, like it just looks like England today. So I'm like, okay, feeling my roots. So yeah, anyway, I was looking at the Eden project, which is in Cornwall. It's a pretty famous like eco project that has like quite a big like educational purpose. It has a big visitor center and it's based in Cornwall. Have you heard of it at all?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
I guess in the UK it's like pretty well known. So it's been ongoing for about 20 years. So it's like they took like a derelict clay pit and decided that they wanted to kind of like rejuvenate. Is that the right word?
Yeah. The
soil and to grow lots of different types of plants and to see what could be done with that kind of space. So it's now like, I mean, the pictures of it, I've never been, but it looks super beautiful. It's like full of like a whole range of different plants. And then their mission statement is, I'm just going to read this direct from their website. Our global mission is to create a movement that builds relationships between people and the natural world to demonstrate the power of working together for the benefit of all living beings. So it's very much about, like the relationship between, people and the natural world, and that we are part of we are the natural world, and that when we care for the earth, we can like rejuvenate land, we can kind of regain some of what's been lost, and that will benefit everyone. And yeah, they have like a big visitor center. You can do courses there. Yeah, pretty cool project, I would say.
That does sound really cool. I know I've definitely heard good things about Cornwall and have seen beautiful pictures. And I mean, like to go there.
Cornwall is just beautiful in general. It's like really dramatic coastline, lots of cliffs and like huge waves, and I don't know. Not very good for public transport though. It's a bit of a bitch to get to or get around unless you have a car, which I guess is one of those unfortunate things about a lot of rural areas. Like not necessarily easily connectable.
Easily not as accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's better.
Well, very cool. Yeah, I'll look that up and I'll include a link to it in the show notes. And yeah, maybe one day I'll go there.
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's spill the tea.
All right. So how are you feeling about your move? Have you had anything come up?
I feel pretty good, but I think it's, I'm very happy to have moved. And I think there's definitely good things. Like the place I'm in is bigger. We have an outside space. I'm like developing my green finger. I'm already growing some tomato seedlings. And like every time I'm like at lunch, I'm working from home at the moment. So my lunch break, I'm like, I'm going to go and plant things. So that's really exciting. That's a good thing. But I think there's definitely an element in moving, at least for me, because I'm not a very organized person, where it's very easy just to chuck a lot of things out in kind of a panic. It hasn't been too bad this time just because I had quite a lot of help moving, so I could bring most of my stuff. But I know when I've moved before, I remember one particular occasion where I was moving flat and I was still had my room mostly like, there was a lot of stuff still in there and I was supposed to catch a flight at like maybe 2:30 p.m. And I just ended up like just literally dumping like perfectly good stuff in the bin because I was like, I do not have time. So like there goes those shoes and like that dress and like, really not a great way to go on. And then there's the other side of it. I think when it's easy when you move, obviously you often need new things or things that you had in your old place, you either can't take or they don't fit into the new space. So I think there is like a bit of a tendency to just have to buy a lot of things new. You can, we've actually found a decent amount of stuff like, like secondhand, which has been great. But for example, I know I'm like, I've got like I really need some shelves and like a desk that fits in the right space. And I'm just kind of at that point where I'm like, I think I might just have to, go and buy that new. And of course you can buy something new that is sustainably made, but with the budget I have right now, I think it's going to be a bit of an IKEA job. So, and that's another element. Moving is expensive. So the budget that you might have is like, well, for me anyway, is squished. So that's my tea. Lots of tea.
Yeah.
Do you relate to any of that with your moves?
I do. Yeah. I was just thinking that, moving is, you have to use a lot. It's time and money, and those are both stressful things. So it's just kind of navigating what do you want to use more of. I know my travels in the past, my moves, I'm very good at what's the word? I guess minimizing my stuff. And I've moved in the past with very little, and then I just fill the space I'm in. And I think that's a very common thing.
Right.
I'm remembering now the Minimalist First documentary, I think just called Minimalism. And they talk about, they interview this architecture, and he talks about how, Adaya, stop it. It's running all over the apartment. They were talking about, this architect was talking about how people buy a house and then they kind of shape their life around it instead of building a house that fits their life. So you buy a house that you think you need all of these 2 living rooms and this and that, and then you fill it with stuff because
Yeah.
People tend to fill the space they're in. It's completely natural. And I've done that in the past and have felt bad about it, because then I'll find myself in a situation where I'm, okay, now, like when I moved to Spain, I'm like, okay, moving here in 2 suitcases when I had lived in a 1-bedroom before. And now, yeah, I've like, have a lot of crap now. Like I couldn't just hop on a plane with 2 check bags and start over somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I think that's okay. To a degree. I think it's okay to... I was talking to someone about this the other day, about how someone who had gone from being like a digital nomad to like now having like roots, having a home, and now having furniture and plants and you know, I think she was feeling a bit bad about, on one hand, feeling bad about the amount of stuff she had and how she couldn't just get up and go. But I think it's okay to lean into where you're at, the season you're at in your life. And
yeah, I mean, fundamentally, there isn't something wrong with having stuff.
No.
You know, I mean, I think there's an element where if you're minimalist, that does make maybe making environmentally friendly choices easier because you have less stuff. So I guess the theory is that you can spend more on the stuff that you do have in order, and unfortunately, whatever, you know, a lot of eco-friendly products are more expensive. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily like prescribe to the idea that having stuff is bad and like filling the space you're in is bad, you know, or like an unenvironmentally friendly choice.
I think the question is that stuff, the amount of stuff, bad for you?
Right, exactly. It's like an individual preference. Some people like to have a lot of stuff and some people would rather not. But I don't think either those, I think those are just more like personal, aesthetic or individual preferences for each individual. I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with your ability to be sustainable. Would you agree? I'm like, the only thing I said that, and then the thing that popped into my head was like, oh, but with like clothes, the more clothes you have, the less you're likely to use them. And obviously there's an element of like use with getting the most use out of your products. And that's like a good option for, you know, making something more sustainable. But I don't know.
I mean, for me, it comes back to use and intention. And, you know, if you're moving from, let's say, a studio to a 1-bedroom, and are you getting a couch just because you have a living room, or because, no, like you want a couch, that's why you're moving, to have more space, to have separation. Instead of, I think also in that documentary, Minimalism, the one guy talks about going to IKEA and like, okay, well, what else do I need to get? But like, not what do I need to get as in what do I personally need, but what do I think I need, because now I'm moving into this bigger space, and oh sure, I need a runner and a lamp, but not stopping to think, do I actually need it? It's like feeling that need, that pressure, that external like need and pressure, instead of stopping to think, okay, well, what do I actually need? What will I get use out of?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and we're talking very like kind of general stuff, but I think as far as, I mean, I can include resources in the show notes of specific ways to make a move more environmentally friendly. Ask friends and family about, you know, if they have boxes that, you know, when you become an adult, you start saving boxes because it's a good box and you might need it one day. So
yeah,
you might know some people with some unused boxes that you can use to move, wrapping breakable things in your clothes instead of getting paper or plastic, the plastic bubble wrap, stuff like that. I mean, there are small things like that you can do as far as like materials.
I think there's some basics which is just which I was like, kind of what I was saying, I'm not very good at organizing my time. I'm very much like a procrastinator. So I put off things. So like a lot of my packing was just like, oh crap, like someone's coming in like 2 hours. I'm just going to like shove everything in a bag, which, you know, mostly worked. But it's true that I think some things, not a lot of stuff, but some things have arrived here like a little bit like, you know, something's got a bit broken or it's like not as good condition. And that's obviously like another element. Like if you're, you know, more prepared, then you can take better care of your things. And obviously, again, that's more of like a sustainable way of doing things rather than like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. I can just buy a new one. It's like, well, how can I move this thing in a way that it's like less likely to get broken or damaged?
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably
packing.
not. Yeah.
Stresses me out hearing.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't think this is a problem Brandee has at all.
No.
At all. But,
Yeah, my past moving experiences were, I've always like, when moving within the same city, like overlapped rent by 1 or even 2 months so that I could start with moving over the least used things and then slowly building up to that. Okay, that like packing that last week, just packing a bag for that last like couple days and trying to move it like to do it in parts, starting with the stuff that I won't need like most urgently. And then moving day is really just like the food in the fridge and a small bag of clothes, toiletries.
Listeners, tell us who you're more like. Are you more like a Brandee or a Hannah in this situation? Because I feel like you're seeing 2 very different personalities in action right now.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I have set up a voice message page on our website, the T on sustainableliving.com/contact, and it's embedded in the page. There's a form at the bottom that will just send us an email if you want to chat. But you can just send us a voice message. It started because during the interview with Kelly, which you'll know once you go back and listen to it, she always sends me voice notes on WhatsApp about latest episode and her thoughts on it. And I was like, well, I should include everyone in this. All 4 of our listeners to leave. No, there's more than that. Not many. So can leave a comment about past episode, a question that came up while listening, idea for future episodes, just anything, just a way to have a bit more interaction. And we can listen to it and include it in a future episode.
We could do a FAQ episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do a listener.
Just like
a listener question.
That'd be fun. Yeah, send us voice notes. Yeah, do that, people.
Send us the voice notes. If that makes you uncomfortable, you can still just do an email and send us your questions, thoughts on past episodes, ideas for future episodes. Yeah, anything. Just to make it a bit more of a kind of a 2-way street so we can hear more from you. And
this is a different element of this topic, but I'm just looking at my notes. We're both renting. What do you find, or what do you think are the limitations of renting in relation to creating a more eco-friendly house environment?
Well, from a financial standpoint, I'm team renting. And people, I mean, because people get into, well, you're throwing that money away. You could be, putting on a mortgage payment, but there's just so much more financially that goes into that, which I don't really get into. But generally I'm team renting. I like that those decisions aren't mine. If something breaks or needs replacing, it's not really on me. Things like furniture, like I have gone the IKEA route, I have gone the secondhand route, just depending on where I was at that time. But generally I like that those big decisions aren't mine. Like if the water heater were to go out, I wouldn't have to go down the gray spiral of what's the best one to get, what's the most eco-friendly. Like it's not on me to figure that out. So like for me, the idea of buying a house, I watch a lot of like those home improvement renovation shows, and if I were to buy a house, I would look for one that would need the least amount of changes, because then you just get into the whole, or I go down that whole rabbit hole, gray spiral of what materials to use, the best way to go about it. And the stress of my dad's having a house built now, and all of the decisions you have to make, period. Like removing the element of the environment, sustainability, just all the decisions, period, just sounds so exhausting. So I don't fault anyone who goes with the cheap, easy choice. But for right now.
Do you think there's anything that you would do if you were a house owner that you don't do because you're renting?
I don't know. Like what?
Have
a garden?
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
so I guess I don't have the space or the light to do that here.
Like, for example, actually, that's a good one. So right now I have a patio and I'm like putting most things in containers because that's like the space I have and it's great. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to like plant like a fruit tree or something like that. Or even like I was looking at like raspberry canes. And then it was like, oh, actually, I don't think I will because obviously a tree is like a big project. And then like even fruit canes, it maybe takes a couple of years for them to give fruit. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be here in a few years' time. So I'm not going to plant those things.
Well, I feel like you could I've seen on like the Facebook groups, you can sell plants if you move, or people who jump on that. But what's a fruit cane? Do you mean like a baby fruit tree?
Yeah. Aren't they called fruit canes? I don't know. No maybe I think maybe I just made this up. I'm
never heard that before.
Like what you buy, like you buy like a raspberry cane or a
No, I don't know.
No? Maybe not. I'm Googling fruit cane and something that is definitely not what I was thinking of has come up.
Like a young
As you can tell, I'm an amateur gardener. Fruit, let me see. Raspberry cane. Okay. So, it's specific to raspberries, but this is what I was thinking of. How to identify dead raspberry canes. All right.
That's the thing. It's knowing that when you buy something like that, if you know you're not going to be here in a few years' time, like, are you prepared to then go through the effort of selling it?
Mm-hmm. Or just leaving it for the next person.
Yeah, that's true. That too. True. I just combine them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Would you do anything different?
I don't know. I think, maybe there's more, I guess there's ways in which when you're renting, you kind of just make do in a way that you might not if you were living somewhere, like.
Which I think is generally more environmentally friendly, making do. I mean, there's that saying.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
What's that expression? Something, make it do or do without. I forget. Do you know what I'm thinking about?
No. What are you talking about?
I don't know. What am I talking about? Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from, but I've heard it before. And
yeah.
That's part of it. Just making do with what you have, using up what you have. Yeah, like the expression says, use it up.
Yeah. I guess there's like ways in which you might change a space to make it more like easy, like functional for the systems that you want to have in place, which could support somewhere being more environmentally friendly. So, for example, where I am now, I might like change slightly the kitchen if I could, to like make it easier to have access to the different bins, for example, for recycling. But it's fine how it is. It's true. Like maybe doing that change to make it slightly more convenient would be more, would be less environmentally friendly actually, because of the materials or things. I mean, things like you fundamentally can't change. Like if a landlord, you might, if you own somewhere, you might change your windows to be like, what are they called? Like double glazed windows.
Yeah, that's what
I was
thinking.
And those are kind of bigger things, which obviously you just like have. I mean, obviously as a renter, you could make the choice to only live somewhere that has that. I mean, for various reasons, also because it's very cold if you don't have double glazed windows. But, obviously it depends where you are. In Madrid, there's still quite a few places that don't have that. Whereas I'd say in the UK, it's pretty common. Most places you rent would have double glazed windows, whereas here, like maybe not. And obviously that's a choice you can make if you're a homeowner to, put in more insulation, to change the windows. I mean, obviously this all costs money, but.
Yeah, I think I would focus on energy efficiency if I owned a house.
Okay.
Whether it's windows, heating, cooling, I would focus on that over design, materials. Because right now my place is not very energy efficient. The electric heat radiator, which I try to use sparingly, but the apartment's not well insulated, so I can only wear so many layers. And then
if you moved again, would that be something you'd look for more?
Yeah, I think I would. I think energy efficiency is more important to me than like design.
Oh, interesting.
Type of flooring. Because it affects your bills too, so.
Yeah.
And obviously I'd want to be more environmentally friendly and also, pay less on utilities.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all? No, it is interesting because I was just thinking, I mean, to be honest, when I was looking for flats last month, it wasn't really something I thought about. I'm just like, do I like this space? Yes or no?
Yeah, I didn't think too much about it when I moved into the space. In fact, I remember seeing that sheet of paper when I signed that talked about the energy efficiency, and I think it had the letter F. So not great. The location was really important to me at the time. And now I'm annoyed by all the people that are constantly in my neighborhood because it's a busy neighborhood, which I like the access. So do the other people. That's why they're here, but I don't like them. They annoy me sometimes. It's just, it's nice to, I don't know, feel like I have more space to myself. But also, I like that things are very close. Anyway, without this episode getting too long, I liked something you touched on in your notes about people you live with, roommates, and if you have different ideas about living sustainably or just how you do things in your apartment. I mean, I know you've lived with other people in the past, like in general, is that something that has come up as an issue for you? Have you struggled with that? Have you tried to like make changes?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, I feel like the basics, which for me, I guess would be like recycling. I feel like most people are pretty okay with that or expect that to happen. Although I have had like one roommate recently who was like, oh, like, you know, can you make sure you take the recycling out? Because I don't really recycle very much. It's like, oh, interesting.
There's some more tea for you.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I heard of someone talking about an article recently that the landfill might be best for plastic or might be better than recycling because it doesn't actually get recycled and all the issues.
Interesting.
I'll try to find that and maybe we'll circle back to that in another episode.
Yeah. It's definitely a big one. And I mean, I guess there's those things which it's like I definitely would say I recycle a lot, but it is true. For example, I mean, this is also me being slightly lazy, but for example, organic recycling, like organic waste, which we can do here in Madrid. In my last place, I was like really excited about it, and then I ended up not doing it because I was just like, there wasn't very much space. It's the kind of thing that like most people aren't really annoyed by like paper recycling, but like food can get a bit smelly. I know, for example, you keep it in your fridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like we're sharing a fridge, like there isn't, space for that. This is also me like kind of making excuses. Like I could have just decided it was like a big priority for me and I would like make sure I'd take it out every couple of days. But I also know my personality. I mean, I'm the type of person who packs everything 2 hours before I'm leaving the house. That also means my personality is not someone who's going to be like super, super on top of, taking out the organic waste, which wouldn't matter if I lived on my own because it would be my choice. Whereas when I'm living with flatmates, I am more aware of course, there's a certain standard.
I think, when you live with people, you have to make some sacrifices. Like you can't,
right?
It's not your place. You have to take other people into account and compromise and kind of have everyone on the same page, which is tricky. Which is why I stopped having roommates and made that a priority.
Right.
Because I've had some issues in the past, like with agreeing on like what setting to set the heating or cooling.
Right. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. That's definitely a big one. I remember. Actually, I think we talked about this last summer. I remember I was like kind of annoyed because my housemate at the time was like putting the fan on all of the time. Like for me, that felt like he was always having a fan on. And I'm like the kind of person who's like, okay, I like have to be really hot to like put the fan on because I'm like, oh, I'd rather like be hot and save the money and like the electricity. But of course that's like, exactly. And you're like, and I was like, I need to talk to Brandee because I'm sure she's just going to be like, get over yourself.
And also,
let the man be cool.
That's the thing.
Which it was, and I never brought it up because I was like, I think I'm being unreasonable here.
Yeah,
so I'm
it's
just
a personal
gonna, like,
thing. It's not like he's blasting central air conditioning. It was like his personal, like, just fan in his room.
And then I was like, all right, well, can't beat them, join them, and had a great summer because I was like, well, if he's got his fan on all the time, I'm gonna put my fan on all the time as well.
Like, I don't want to pay for his electricity, so I might as well pay for my own.
Exactly. So, you know, those things can definitely be an issue. And, you know, as well, like, I think it's also maybe not so much that people aren't, you know, I've lived with quite decent, you know, I've not had a lot of roommate problems. And, you know, I think most young people most people in general, not just young people or people our age, but most people are like pretty aware of the environmental stuff. So I've never, you know, faced any sort of like hostility, I guess. Mm-hmm. But there's things that I'm like, oh, it would just be kind of more effort, whereas I might do it on my own. Like, for example, trying to use more like homemade cleaning products, for example. That would be something if I lived on my own, I think I definitely do. But I'm like, oh, do I really want to, you know, bring that up with my housemates? And then, like, I guess if I'm the one who's like suggesting it, I would need to be the person who's kind of like on top of making it happen.
Well, why can't you just do it when it's your turn to clean? Just clean with what you're comfortable cleaning with.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I never really thought of that.
Because I think that goes back to just, we touched on it before, like just kind of live your values and people will naturally start to see it and ask you questions. And if you do that, and like that's kind of the only approach you can take, living with people, friends, family, roommates, whoever, is just do your thing. And if it's going to change something for someone you live with, let them know without like kind of putting it on them, mandating them to do it too. Say, hey, I'm going to start composting, but I'll keep it on there's like containers that like have no smell filter things. You can keep it maybe in your room or in a utility closet. I don't know. You can come up with a way that you can do what you want to do without like, forcing it upon your roommates.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about it like that.
Like you can't, like it wouldn't be fair for you to be like, I don't want you to use cleaning products with chemicals.
Right.
You can just start cleaning with vinegar and water when it's your turn, and it doesn't have to like affect them at all. Like they don't even really need to know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know why I never like thought about that before, but it's true. Yeah. And then the other point of like something that's good about moving and having more space is, like you say, it's like easier. You know, I definitely have like a space now where I could put like more bigger recycling bins or like organic, you know, composting. Whereas in my old flat, it was pretty small. Like there really wasn't extra space for anything.
Sure. Yeah. And with the compost, you could keep something on the patio. So it's just outside.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Not even affecting the house, the apartment.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good point. Just do it myself.
Yeah, just do it. Just do you.
What about you when you were living with people? Or even actually, this is an interesting question. Do you find, for example, when your partner comes around, obviously it's still very much your space, but like, does that affect, you know, I'm like thinking of myself as well. I'm like, does that affect me? Maybe not. I guess like when someone's in your space, they normally conform to how you have things.
Though, despite my partner knowing where the recycling bin is, often fails to just probably listening to this. He listens to pretty much every episode, so
yeah, be careful, Brandee.
The recycling bin's right there. I love
it. Yeah. Okay. So like maybe a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's true. Ultimately, yeah, you conform when you're staying with someone, that you conform to their. Yeah. But when you're living together, you're both on a lease, or multiple people on a lease, then it's you got to compromise because it's not just you, which is why I've made it just me, because I want to do things how I want to do things. So there's one big action item for you if you're struggling with roommates. Don't have them.
Yeah, I mean, with a caveat that is, can be difficult.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I've said that half jokingly.
Yeah. But it's true, being aware of that. And, there are certain houses, like you can look, when I've been looking on my own, you can definitely find houses that are like, we're wanting to try and be like eco-friendly, or it's like a vegetarian house, or like whatever. I mean, I think that's like less common, but
it's prioritizing what's important to you. If living alone is a priority, then you make it work. If living somewhere in a neighborhood that does organic compost, like citywide collection, if it's sharing, not like having meat in the kitchen, you prioritize the thing. If it's energy efficiency, if it's
right. And I mean, this is just in general as well. Like I was thinking about, like, when you're buying things, one way of doing it is to prioritize what you need right now, and then what stuff can you take a bit longer to find. I think your flat's like a perfect example, Brandee. Like, I feel like you kind of have just been collecting items.
I have been,
for a while, to like get it how you want it to be, but it's like taken a while for it to be. Or it's had, like, your flat's had quite a few different variations despite being a very small space.
Yeah. I started with what it came with. It came furnished, and I made that work. And then slowly over time, I was like, okay, well, how do I want to make this space my own? What would make something easier, more convenient, more comfortable? And over time, my most recent collection is not a piece of furniture. It's these headphones that I got. yet another pair of audio equipment. But I got these secondhand.
Someone's a podcast manager.
Yeah,
hit Brandee up if you want to have a podcast made.
Yeah, I got these fancy. I found them on Vinted, which is similar to Poshmark, ThredUp, just a secondhand place, and they're like really fancy. So I'm like extra careful when I'm using them, so that IS doesn't come. All cables are toys to him. So I'm like very careful, because even though I got them secondhand and like half price, still.
Yeah.
Anyway, final thoughts we're getting like.
Not really. I mean, just moving. Changes. I mean, they're going to bring up a lot of stuff. I think there's both like good things and bad things, right? There's potential when you're moving somewhere new, and then there's also like, crap. It's expensive.
Yeah. So I think you do what you can, control what you can, prioritize what's important to you.
Look secondhand.
Yeah. Plan if you can.
Yeah.
And when it comes to roommates,
last minute.
When it comes to who you're living with, and if you are trying to like live more environmentally friendly or sustainably, then you can only do what you can do. Like, I'll never forget the one in college. I had 5 roommates, and we all took turns buying milk when I was drinking regular milk, and I started buying soy milk because that was the first time I went down the vegan route, and the one roommate could not accept that I was no longer contributing to the cycle of milk purchasing because I was off on doing my own thing. And it turned into like a whole heated thing. I was like, I don't understand where this is coming from. I'm not drinking that anymore, so why would I buy it?
That is bizarre.
So, hopefully
it definitely helps if you live with like reasonable people.
Yes. So hopefully you listener live with reasonable people, and can make the changes you want to make. Or if you're thinking about moving, don't let it stress you out or overwhelm you too much. Do what you can. Pick your like priority and focus your energy on that, and try not to stress too much about the rest. Yeah. And ask around for boxes, because your friends have boxes.
And people want to give them away, especially, and also bags. So many people were like, oh, do you want some of these like plastic bags? I'm like, I already have that bag of plastic bags. Like, don't worry, I don't need yours as well.
There's a meme about the like I am 30 AF account, I think it was, about being an adult means having this, that, another thing, a bag of more plastic bags, and
Yep. All right, listener, thank you so much for listening. Check out our new voice message page, the T on sustainableliving.com/contact. Put it in the show notes, and let us know if you've had similar struggles moving, you're coming up on moving, you have a specific question, and
Yeah, we'll feature you in an upcoming episode. Kelly, I know you're listening. Send us a voice message. We'll include it in our next upcoming episode.
Awesome.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
If you made it to the end, we can only assume that you've enjoyed this episode.
Please consider sharing this with a friend or family member who could use some support on their sustainability journey.
And find us on Instagram at the Tea on Sustainable Living and let us know what you liked about the episode.
All right, give it shitters. See you later. Get it? See you later? As in, see you later? So funny.
Why?